Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything. I'm coming at you with another Wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we're going to be talking about our market garden project update. So basically, this is a weekly or bi-weekly news update. This just lets you know the progress that I'm making on my miniature construction, buildings, terrain, painting, getting ready for whatever project I'm working on. And in this case, we are working on our market garden project because we have a convention coming up on the 24th. It's actually the 23rd, 24th, and 25th, but our game that we're hosting there is on the 24th, which is Saturday. If you want to participate, come to NashCon. It's going to be located in Nashville. You can go to nashcon.com, maybe .org. So I bet you it's .com because it's ran by HMGS. That's the Historical Miniature Gaming Society. If you want to attend the convention and come see us or participate in our game, please do. But okay, so the Market Garden project, I had a lot done in the last 5 days or so. That's since the last video. As you can see, I've got these three buildings right here. Basically, when I fell in love with, I did one more of these buildings. I think it's up there. I did one of these buildings from Sarissa, and I've done 20 or so buildings from Sarissa. But when I did this one, I was like, wow, this thing's going together great, and it's like super quick to put together and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I'm going to order some more of those. So ordered 3 more. You might notice that they are slightly different. This one is like a home because it has just a window. Well, hold on, let me. Yeah, that's a home, and then that is a shop because you can see the large window there, and I think this is a shop as well, right? And these do kind of go side by side. So if you wanted to have like a row house, you set up, you could do it that way. But I'm probably going to have gaps between the homes to make it more, I don't know, spread out. Okay, but I got 3 of those. These aren't even painted or anything. I finished those a few days ago. I also got the guard tower for the Son Bridge scenario. This is the Son Bridge that I'll be using. It's actually just Sarissa's girder bridge. As you can see, I knocked out the walkway and I went ahead and flocked it so that it'll match up with the rest of the terrain on that table. Those terrain tiles that I made. Okay, so this is the Sarissa watchtower. It's got like a little ladder that goes up and a little trap door in the center. This little roof comes off, right? And you can pull your troops out. Now this is a standard bolt action German medium machine gun on the standard Warlord Games large round base. And this fits right down inside there almost perfectly, right? Yeah, super happy with that. I'm glad. And then this fits right on top of there. Great. Now, this looks like it has like a wicker rail right there. And so what I wanted to do was go all military and put like a sandbag, because there is an actual wooded ledge all the way around the outside of this. So I was thinking about putting a stack of sandbags all the way around this to kind of make it look more militaristic. So I ordered Renedra's sandbag sprues. There's 2 sprues here. I can put a ton of sandbags up there and make it all militaristic. But then I changed my mind. After I ordered this, I said, I don't need to do that. I don't need to do that. That was a want, right? I can just say, screw it. This is tell the table, this is a hardcover, deal with it, you know? I don't have to actually show sandbags. That would just be an added flavor, but I don't think I'm going to do it. I think what I'm going to do is make sandbag emplacement positions know. Maybe I'll save these and put them on tanks or something. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm going to keep that. Okay. Separate. Speaking of which, I bought get rid of that. I bought this, it's called Woodpile. I buy a lot of wood from a company called Woodpile, and I buy it at Hobby Lobby. And this was sitting on the shelf at Hobby Lobby as just a tray to put anything in. It's sanded all the way around. It's bare metal. It's not painted or anything, which I think I'm going to paint. But it's wood on the inside. It's very thin. It's like a thin plywood on the inside. So I was thinking I was going to take maybe a cork lining, a thin cork lining, because they sell these rolls of cork that I could get and I could put in there, line the walls and the bottom with a real thin cork. Or I have some of these felt sheets. I was thinking maybe I could line the bottom and the walls with felt, and then when I go to roll dice, we'll have a dice tray. But how many? I'm not going to get 3 of these, one for every game. It's not necessary. I don't even need to bring this to the game. This is really for my personal use here at the table. When I'm DMing Dungeons & Dragons, or when I'm playing Bolt Action or Hail Caesar or SPQR or whatever we play. I don't think I'm going to be getting into the SPQR. It reminds me of Warlords or Erewhon, and I don't think I'm going to really be getting into that either. There's too many dice rolls for the least amount of effect. Watch some demo videos. I've looked at it. It seems cool, but it's just, no. I don't think I'm going to get into it. Okay, but this is just for my in-house games. Okay. I got my trees in. These are not the original trees. These are actually my second set of trees. I have 2 sets of 12. This is only, what, 8? Okay, there's 8. I actually have 12 of these trees. And I just finished like 2 nights ago. And they look better than my older trees, but I've got like 12 more up there. Well, actually I got 14 up there. I got 12 over there and 12 over here, so I've got 24 trees that I'm going to be able to spread out over my table at home, or at the convention I'm going to have to spread it out thin across all 3 tables, as well as adding some additional trees as a filler. But normally when we play Bolt Action or whatever, I'm probably only going to be using these trees at home. Okay. Having said that, continuing on, something just personal. I found these Westcott rulers. I have a couple of Westcotts already that I use for when I'm cutting straight lines with an X-Acto knife on paper or whatever, cardstock. I'm trying to cut straight lines. I've got like an 18-inch ruler over there. Sounded like something fell. I don't know what it was. Okay, this one's only a 12-inch. It's got a rounded edge and a little hook so you can hang it on the wall or whatever. It's got a little cork on the inside so it doesn't damage anything you put it on. It's got centimeters on one side and inches on the other. Perfect little 12-inch ruler. But what drew my attention to it was blue and white, which is my colors. Blue and white is my heraldry colors. You see it on my logo down in the bottom right down there. That's what you see. But you also see, like when I'm in the SCA, I'm wearing blue and white. Yeah, blue and white's my thing. But there was another one there that was red. Might be red and black, actually. Black and red. And black and red's pretty cool, too. That's a pretty cool combo. So I thought about buying one of those. But then I said, no, I'm going to stick with my blue and white. I'm going to stick with it. But I got turned on because of the color. I just got to say that. Okay. Now I've got 3 boxes here that I just got in today. I did get the 250-1. I did get one of them. Couldn't resist. This is for my SS Reconnaissance group. So I got one of those. I picked up a Puma 234-2 because my belief is the Puma is actually supposed to be in the Son Bridge scenario, helping defend the bridge, but I always thought the Puma was a really cool looking vehicle. I've always thought it was a unique and everything. This is an Italeri model for Warlord games. Of course, all their models are Italeri nowadays. So I really just got it for me, but I might use it during the convention. I'm not sure if we're going to do that. We're going to do a playtest this Thursday of the Son Bridge scenario. I hadn't been playing on Thursday nights the last couple of weeks, mainly because I've been painting and getting stuff ready, but also because my players were unable to attend. So it all kind of worked out. There was no games, but then that gave me that extra day to work on stuff. And I did get a new box of U.S. Airborne. Okay. I have quite a bit of Airborne over there, but it's really not... It's not organized properly. I just threw those models together before I really knew what I was doing. And so this is going to fill the gaps, but it's also, I'm not going to paint them as late war. I'm going to paint them as early war, like D-Day paratroopers. So, because that was actually my favorite colored uniform. It's actually kind of a tan, green, brown. And I want to paint these guys up in the tan, green, brown. So I want to make more paratroopers, but a different era. So what that'll also allow me to do is, if I get these done in time, which hopefully I'm going to try to do, if I get these done in time, it'll be great for one being the 101st and the other one being the 82nd. But, okay, so I did get some more paratroopers. Mainly, I got these three models at a place called Hobby Link. You should look for it. Hobby Link sells model railroading, train supplies, sold me these trees. They have flock model supplies, wood, the wood that I used for that, the tiles, glues, paints. Basically, they're more of a model railroading store. But they have a little bit of everything, and they do sell Warlord Games models, and that's where I got these. And I think the Airborne box set is normally like $41 or something like that, but it was only like $29. They had a major like 25% off discount or something like that. So it was they had them on sale basically. So I grabbed that. Well, that's why I grabbed all these three of these, because they were all like 25% off. So, yeah, that was awesome. Okay, so talked about everything I've got out here. Let's talk about the scenarios that I'm going to be running, right? As you know, I was thinking I was going to do these three scenarios. I was going to do the 101st battle. I was going to do the 82nd battle. I was going to do the 1st Airborne battle. We're going to have three tables running simultaneously. And I was like going to put all my models on the table, and I stepped back a little bit, and I was like, not just putting all the models on the table, that's fine, but when I was building the armies using Easy Army, which is an online army maker program, while making the armies, I was falling into my normal army building, what's the word I'm looking for, rut, right? So I realized today that when I was building those armies for those scenarios, I was building them for competition, and that's not what these scenarios are about. This convention, the battles that I'm running, has nothing to do with competition. It's supposed to be historical. It's supposed to be It's supposed to be a likeness of what might have actually happened, and not you have 1,000 points, I have 1,000 points. Let's buy whatever we want that fits into 1,000 points, put it on the table, and see who's the better man. No, that's not what this is about. That's not what this convention's about. That's not what any of my games are about. And I found myself succumbing to the desire to build them point-wise and balance them using the points. Well, starting tonight, or maybe tomorrow, I'm going to go through my scenarios that I've already written. They're not finished, but they're like, I've got them overall summary of each scenario. So what I'm going to do is flesh out the armies. But instead of buying like a 5-man German squad with a light machine gun, a submachine gun, and 3 rifles, instead of doing something like that, I'm going to do maybe a 7-man squad, or maybe an 8-man squad, or whatever. I'm going to have larger squads, if not full squads, because what that's going to do, and this is part of the benefit, it's going to make less squads. And that's what I was realizing. I was having, 100 order dice on a table, and it was going to be knowing how bolt action plays and knowing the convention environment. It would take forever, because there would be a bag full of dice, and you'd be pulling them out forever to get to turn 2. Where if you have only, let's say, 5 dice per side, then it would go a lot faster, right? There would only be 10 dice pulls, and the turns would go faster. And that's important to me because of the time slot we're put in, the setup time, the teardown time. Someone's going to be on that table before us. They will end their game. They will have to tear it down, and we will have to set up our game in 1 hour. There is an hour between the end of their game and the start of our game, so they have to tear it down. I'm going to assume it's going to take them about 30 minutes to tear it down. So we're going to have to take about 30 minutes to set it up. Should not be a problem. We're going to be ready to go with tiles, trees, buildings, hedges. Boom, it's going to be set up. I'm going to have all the armies organized before we even go down to the convention, so that's all going to be ready. I'm also thinking about putting the squads on 3x5 cards or 5x8 cards, but a card, right? I'm going to hand write it if I have to, or I'll type it or print it, whatever we do, so that if you're running your infantry squad, you'll have the card, and it'll tell you like the range of the weapons, what their morale is, all that great stuff. And having less squads will mean I'll need less cards, for one thing, but it will mean less dice on the table or in the bag. Plus, it'll make the game, like, each squad will become more important. Because if you've got like 3 or 4 5-man squads, you have more flexibility, right? Because that's why you do that. That's why, as a player, you do that. You separate them into teams. And historically, that's why you have 5-man teams, is so that you can maneuver them, and this team takes this building, this team takes this building, right? And this team takes this building, this team takes this building. So now you have more flexibility. One team can be on the ground floor, another team can be on the next floor up. But if you only have one 10-man team or 2 10-man teams, they have the exact same amount of firepower, they have the exact same number of models, but now you only have 2 dice, and you can only occupy 2 buildings, and you can only be on 1 floor and not 2 floors, and all of your fire has to go against 1 target. So your it reins the player in. He doesn't have all this like wide-reaching maneuverability and everything. So by making, let's say I was going to put 4 5-man squads per table. Like, let's just use 101st as an example, because that's pretty close to what I was going to do, with like 4, maybe 6 or 7-man teams, probably, I think is what they were going to be. But 4 of them, and I was going to let one player play 2 and another player play 2, and then the machine gunners and the mortars and the Jeep and the anti-tank gun and all that stuff would be extra little pieces, right? But if I took those 4 squads and made them 2 12-man squads, or whatever the airborne troops are, I think it's 12, a player at that point will be a squad leader. He will have him and his 12 dudes, him and his 11 dudes or whatever. So that's him, plus maybe the lieutenant. And the lieutenant will have his 2 squads, which would be player A and player B, right? So one of the 2 players will take over the lieutenant probably, and then don't forget there's going to be a mortar and a machine gun and stuff like that. So you as a player, you're playing with more than just one squad. You have your squad, your machine gun, your medic, maybe a bazooka man, right? That's your team. Then the other guy's team is maybe the lieutenant, the squad, a mortar, and a bazooka man or something like that. So each player will still have like 3 or 4 maneuver elements, but the main issue is there's only going to be those 2 large squads. That'll also mean the game will play a lot faster, because the points would be brought down. I was getting ready to have like 4 or 5 squads per table plus all the extra pieces, and it was just going to be too much, I think. I think it was just going to be too much. So we're backing that up. I'm basically, another thing that was going through my mind is I want to lower the amount of points. I don't want there to be 1,500 points per side, and that's what it was coming out to be about, 1,500 points per side. I want it to be closer to 1,000 points per side, or maybe 900 points or 800 points would be even better, I think. But maybe not. Maybe 1,000 points. We'll figure it out when I start building the armies again. But this time I'm going to try to go with, and I'm going to be limited with what I've got. I understand that, but I'm going to try to make less squads, but larger squads. That's what I think I'm going to do. And then now in some of these battles, specifically all of them, yeah, the Arnhem battle, the 82nd battle. Oh, I've changed the 82nd battle. That's another thing. But on all 3 battles, there's going to be a German element on the table, and then the airborne's going to show up, and then the additional Germans are going to reinforce and show up. That's on all 3 tables. How they go about doing that's a little bit different. But I'm working on my German Blitzkrieg troops, just like this machine gun. He starts on the table. But there's also, like the Hermann Göring division has a squad in this battle. There's going to be like 12th SS Watch Battalion in Arnhem, something like that. It's not even a battalion. It's more like a couple of squads. And on the 82nd, which is a battle I've changed, they're going to be attacking a bridge. Hey, surprise. There's going to be a river and a bridge. They're going to be playing, believe it or not, they're going to be playing widthwise, right? So really it's not going to be a widthwise battle. How that battle is going to work is there's going to be a long table, right, a 4x6, but the river is going to cross one side of the, maybe 2 feet in. There's going to be a river with a bridge in the middle, and then there'll be a road going down the center of the table. That road is really just there for looks. Doesn't do anything. It's just there. But the river and the bridge does. There's probably going to be a couple of buildings next to the bridge. Very few, because this bridge was going to be one of those secondary objectives. The 82nd actually had to take like 4 bridges over a variety of different rivers before they would take the Nijmegen Bridge. And this is one of those bridges. And we're actually going to use jump rules, just like we're doing in the 101st. They have to actually jump in on turn 1, where the 82nd are also going to jump in on turn 1. And they will continue to jump in until all their troops are in. Same thing with the 101st. And they will have to maneuver in and take that bridge. From the other 4 feet, remember the river is about 2 feet in, so the other 4 feet is going to be mostly fields, open fields, and the 82nd is going to drop out there somewhere and try to get into that little small little. It's not even a town. It's only like 1 or 2 buildings that is next to the bridge. And then they'll go in, they'll take that. So the 82nd have got very little cover. There's hardly any cover in the 82nd battle. The 101st battle is packed with cover. I mean, it's like a madhouse of how much cover there is. And then the first para has cover, but it's kind of like scattered. It's a lot of cover, but it's scattered about. So there are 3 distinct different types of battles, which I think is cool, but they all have the general same theme. The 101st is attacking a bridge, the 82nd is attacking a bridge, and the 1st is attacking through a town to a bridge off table, to beyond. So they have to get into that town and occupy or exit off a number of troops off the other end of the table, or something like that is what I'm going to do. Haven't really figured that out, but I think I want to get troops exited off that other side because they're trying to get to the bridge. But it's so far, you're looking at 6 feet, and they don't have vehicles. They got to hoof it. So if you think about that, if they run every turn, in 6 turns, you can only go 6 feet max, right? So it'd be unfair to make that game 6 turns because they wouldn't be able to get off the table, right? Even if they never stopped and shot at anybody. So I kind of think that. So I'm going to allow them to start. First of all, I'm going to allow them to start a foot into the table. Or I've thought maybe we'll have them jump into the table. Yeah. They're probably going to jump as well. I don't know. The Son Bridge was supposed to have 3 88s defending the bridge. It's not like there's any anti-tank or anything. There's no tanks coming in to attack the Son Bridge. But those 88s can shoot at infantry, especially like if they try jumping in and around them, paratrooping. But I don't know if I want to include those. There were 3. I've read some historical. I read some historical accounts of that battle, and there is like 1 by that bridge. There's more off to the side, and when they went to flank around through the town or whatever, they encountered more 88s over there. They all 3 weren't right next to the bridge, so I don't think I want to do that. I don't own any 88s, so I thought about maybe making. Mike offered to make to see if he had any files to make like a plastic model, like a 3D printed one, but he hasn't gotten back with me on that, and the convention's only like 3 weeks away, so I don't think that's going to be feasible. I thought about buying an 88 or 2 or 3 at $40 a piece. That's kind of. I don't mind dropping $40 on these guys, right? Because I'm going to use these over and over and over and over, right? Okay. I don't even mind dropping $15 or $20 or whatever it was on this half track, because I'm going to get more than one shot. With these 88s, I'm probably only going to get 1 or 2 battles in my lifetime with 3 88s in them, you know? So I was like, I could get 1, and then that would be kind of cool. I could add it to my German army at some point if I wanted to ever have an 88, or if we ever play like desert battles, I'm sure there's a bunch of 88s in that. And, you know, it depends on what I want to do with it. And then I was like, $40 a piece to use it once in a while? No, I didn't think so. So I'm not going to get those 88s. But that's not going to stop me from, I know you're going through my thought process. I'm sorry about the length of this video, but I have gun emplacements, like sandbags in a circle, basically. I could put 3 of those in there, and then I could put some German crew members, some like as if they were manning the 88s or something like that. I could put them in there, and then just say there's an 88 in there, or maybe put a token or something. Maybe make a popsicle stick and say this is an 88 and have it stuck inside there. No, I don't know. I could make something. I could make a little. I might even be able to find a paper model to print, cut out, and put together. But I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to. I already know I'm not going to do any of that. I'm just going to ignore the fact that there's no 88s. And maybe put some extra infantry in those 88 positions, and just let it go. Just say the 88s aren't functional. Maybe they don't have any ammo, but the crew members are still there and they can fight, and do something like that. Kind of fudge it a little bit. Because like there's this author I read or have read, Son.Veghel. He wrote 3 books. 7 Roads to Hell, which is the Bastogne battles, right? Because Bastogne had 7 roads going to it. He wrote one, Currahee, which was how he got into the 101st, and he was in the 506th. How he got into the 101st, and how his training, and then his move to England, and then his jump at Normandy and all that. And then there's the middle one, which was Market Garden. I don't think he's calling it Market Garden. Oh, Hell's Highway is what he calls it. In his Hell's Highway account, he was one of the guys that had to take this town. He was in this battle. And he talked about how he went from building to building or whatever, and there was an 82nd down the road, or not 82nd, there was an 88 down at the end of the road, but it wasn't shooting. The infantry the German infantry were shooting their rifles and stuff, but the gun wasn't. So I feel like that might have been more historically accurate. Yeah, because they're not going to be shooting that. It would have been a waste. Well, maybe not, but I don't know. The 101st didn't have tanks with them or anything, so. Okay, so that's what I'm probably going to do, is put a couple of gun emplacements in near the bridge, and just throw some extra Germans in there as dudes. Also, I'm not going to look at the points so much when I'm setting up my... Let me back up. I am going to look at the points to make sure I'm not like way outbalancing one or the other. But what I've noticed in all 3 of these scenarios is, specifically the Son Bridge scenario, something that limits the Americans a lot is the fact that they have to jump onto the table. They only get to jump in with a die 3 units every turn. So technically, they could be getting 1 unit per turn. And if the bridge was here on the table, the jump area is like right here. They still have to maneuver through cover, and the Germans are probably in some buildings that are right here. So they have to get through those buildings to the bridge. It's going to be a fight. And if you've only got 1 or 2 squads and a machine gun and a mortar or whatever, okay, well, first of all, if you only have like 6 units, they're all going to be on the table pretty soon. So I want to make sure that the Germans, they only have a squad and a machine gun, right? And that's pretty much what they've got to defend with. But on turn 2 or 1 or 2 or something like that, the Germans come in from the edges off the table. They roll a die randomly to see where they come in at, and they only get a certain number of troops every turn as well. So they have to fight their way from the outside to stop these guys. So there's a lot of limiting randomness to the game. Another thing, I play a lot of, and this is kind of what turned me on to the whole lower the squads. I play a lot of skirmish campaigns. Skirmish campaigns is a series of books of skirmish style scenarios where they'll have like the 101st jumping on D-Day, and they'll have like, or the 82nd fighting on Lafayette Bridge or whatever. They will have written a scenario, and they will say, this is how many men are in this squad, this is how many men are in this squad, this is how many men are in this squad, and you got to go with it, right? And this is what he's carrying, and this is all that good stuff. That's great. Then I don't have to worry about points or anything. I can just form my squads based on what the command, what it says. But that's none of that. Now the next part was, you have a list of all these different possible troops. None of them are guaranteed. And then you roll a die as a player. You roll a die and you get that selection. Like it might say medium machine gun. It might say mortar. It might say bazooka man. It might say airstrike or artillery. You roll and okay, it says I get a medium machine gun. Okay, so then you add a medium machine gun to your force selection. I kind of really like that in the fact that I'm going to write this scenario. And I think I might just take all those extra pieces that I have, put them on the side, and say these are all random. None of these are guaranteed. And at each player that plays, I'm assuming I'm going to get 2 players per side, per table. That's what I'm hoping. If I do, each one of the players will get to roll a die and get a selector. So he'll have not only his squad, but he'll have his one selector. So really he's only moving a main element with a little bitty attachment, like a machine gun or something. I could, and the scenarios do, the way they write their scenarios is that they will have your main squads, a few machine guns, mortars and stuff, and then they'll also have the selectors as like, these are the optional troops. And I think I might do that as well. Just give them their main squad and maybe, let's say, a machine gun. But then if they roll, maybe they'll get a bazooka man, maybe they'll get a mortar. Maybe they'll get, a medic or something. And I think I want to do that. So writing this, I'm kind of in the middle of writing scenarios. I do have the Germans over there. They're primed. Flesh is done. There's like 40 models over there. I think I'm going to finish those tonight. Maybe flock them tomorrow. So by tomorrow they'll be done. I'm off these next few days. I will have Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday to work on all my stuff. And I think I'll be hopefully finished by Thursday, to be honest. But Thursday is going to be our playtest of the Son Bridge scenario. Come back. I've already talked to the guys. We should be starting around 5 Central. So we'll have the whole Son Bridge scenario. You'll see them jump in. I'm using an alternative jump. Okay, here's another thing. I've already decided. I'm using an alternative jump mechanic. There's a couple of different jump mechanics that Market Garden book suggests. One of them is called the sticks rule, and another one is called the combat jump rule. Okay, so the sticks rule is you stand 10 feet away from the table, and you take a activation die and you lob it onto the table, and where it lands is where your squad lands. I like that idea, but I don't like people throwing dice at my table. Especially activation dice. If it's a tiny little die, no problem. If it's a little poker chip or something, great. If you saw me play the Pegasus Bridge scenario that I ran in 20 millimeter back about 5 years ago at NashCon, I had these balsa wood gliders, and they would stand back about 10 feet, and they would lob these balsa wood gliders onto the table, and wherever the glider landed is actually where the glider landed. And we had guys jump out, and one guy's glider slammed into the side of the bridge and went into the river. And I said, okay, every one of those guys have to make a death save or whatever, and if they fail, they're dead. If they don't, they swim to the shore or whatever. And that was pretty deadly. I think you had one guy live out of that glider. It was horrible. Yeah, but that was a really exciting battle. I scratch built a Pegasus bridge on my own, and it was like this big. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Away from that, we're not doing paper gliders. We're not doing throwing the dice on the table. The other one is the combat jump rule. I kind of like that. It makes it okay. What it is you decide where you want to jump. You put a die down. You say, okay, my guys are gonna jump here, and then you roll an activation die, because every side of the activation die has an arrow that points. So however it lands, that arrow might be pointing in a certain area, and then you roll another d6 to see like how many inches. You could move 1, you could move 6, so technically you're going to land in a fairly accurate area. And from there, you take one model, and every inch you put a guy. So you basically, all your guys are in row, however long your squad is, right? I don't like that. I don't like that rule at all. Okay, so there was an old game called Command Decision out there, and they came up with a jump rule that I thought was really good. It was based on, it's probably the best jump rules that I've ever seen. It was based on the quality level of your paratroopers, because in that game you could have inexperienced, regulars, veterans, elite. You could have really good paratroopers. This game was played in micro armor scale. Oh no, it wasn't. It was 20 millimeter scale. Yeah, 20 millimeter scale. But you'd only have like 2 figures on a stand, and that would represent a platoon of guys. And 1 inch represented like 100 yards. So a table like this would only be about 2 inches by maybe 3 inches, right? So your table's only like this big, right? Okay. But when your platoon landed, think of it, that's like 30 guys. So in this game, you got to scale it all up. So what I did was, I'm going to get a 12-inch ruler like this. There's going to be 1-inch squares, okay? I'm going to cut up, and there's going to be on paper. I'm talking about paper. I'm going to make 1-inch squares. Each square is going to have the type of troop it is, like NCO, machine gun, rifle, bar, rifle, medic, rifle, second lieutenant, or whatever it is, right? Every one of them will have their own little label, and then the player is going to hold the ruler up over the table, and how high he holds it will be based on the quality of the troops jumping. But in this case, they're all veteran, which is the best you can be in bolt action. So I'm going to have them sit at 12 inches approximately, so about this high, right? And then he's going to tip it over, and what will happen is these pieces of paper will flutter down to the table, and some will go this way, some will go that way, some will fall, some will just go boom. I've seen that happen. They all just go straight down. Some will tumble like this. You'll actually see them like almost fly, and they will land over here. Like one guy will be over here, and most of your guys will be right here. But he just, for some reason, drifted, and then they will all have 1 pin. Yeah, 1 pin. That's it. No damage, nothing. You're just pinned. And so to be able to regroup, you have to make a leadership test, obviously, right? And if they do, the pin comes off, right? So you just make a leadership test, and everybody has to be back into coherency in one turn. And then from there, then they can move on. Or if if he's only like 6 inches back and you're running this way, you know, he can go up here, and as long as everybody stays in coherency, you're okay. So that's what I'm going to do. And I think in Command Decision, part of the rule was you had the top and you had the bottom of the paper, and if it landed face up, no matter what, if it landed face up, you're perfectly fine. But if it landed face down on a flat surface, you're perfectly fine. But if it like landed on a hedge, or landed on a tree, or landed on a building, like leaning up against a building or something like that, if it was face down, they would take a hit. Basically, they would take damage. And certain quality troops could take 1 hit and they're eliminated. But some elite troops could take like 4 hits before they're eliminated. So, and you just mark the different units with hits. That game was a very hit-heavy game. But in bolt action, even if they land on a tree or a hedge or a building or whatever it lands on, it doesn't matter. The unit's getting 1 pin. That's good enough. All right. And we're going to play test that Thursday night, so you'll see what that looks like. All right. That's all I wanted to say. I know it was quite a long video. I appreciate you watching this video. I'm going to edit out whatever I can edit out. And I might do another video between now and Thursday just to get you caught up on maybe my German painting. Maybe I put together this Hanomag 250-1 or this Puma, or throw together some more airborne. I'm not sure. I am going to make a video though on me painting these buildings and all these other buildings that I got up here. I want to kind of show you that's why these are not painted, is because I've been saving them for the start to finish video. I've got a bunch up there that are started, but I want to show you a start to finish video on how I'm going to paint these. And catch you next time.